What's up, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Eagles on the Air. Salesian High School is a school that prepares for life. Right now, we're in our beautiful broadcast studio in the main academic building, and I got a great guest for you today. I think the students at school who are watching this are going to be excited to see, but my guest is none other than the chairperson of the Theology Department, 9th and 12th grade theology teacher, Mr. Mike Marasco. Mr. Marasco, I'm going to call you Mr. Marasco over here because the kids are watching. I want to be like informal, but like the kids don't know. The kids don't need to know your first name. We're going to call you Mr. Marasco.
They know it, but you can do what you...
Well, either way...
Let's go with it.
Mr. Marasco, I'm pumped that you're on here today.
I'm so excited. Thank you.
You know what? We're looking for like great people to be on as guests. And trust me, I don't see many people, former teachers, young alums that are like, hey, get me on the podcast, get me on the podcast. I was like, I'm telling you, I promise we'll get to as many people as possible. But we wanted to get you on for a number of reasons. You bring so much to the table. You've brought so much to the table since you've been here. So I want to hear a lot about what you do, where you've been, the whole 9 yards.
You got it.
Good,
yeah.
fair enough?
Fair enough.
All right.
Let's go, as the kids say.
But, what did they say?
Let's go.
Let's go, baby. You're not exempt from the rules, though. Everybody knows. It's like Dave Portnoy, right? One bite, everybody knows the rules. And then he takes like 14 bites of the pizza. On the podcast here, I don't lie. I ask everybody the same question. I say, what is your Salesian story? I want to know, how did you learn about Salesian? When did you come to know the Salesians? What has your journey been like? I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to pass the proverbial mic to you, Mr. Marasco.
Well, I have a great Salesian start to my life, actually. It was my first job. I graduated from Iona University, Iona College at the time. My parents were in California. My dad was in the airline business, and we're from here. And I went out, my intention was to visit them and to come back and start my career here. And I was with them, and then I loved California. It was beautiful. And so I opened up the Los Angeles Times, and I saw that a Salesian High School in East Los Angeles, 710 Soto Street, was looking for a teacher. And I drove down. It was about 36 miles from where we were in California at the time. And in California, that could be 2 days to get there. And I pulled into this parking lot on a very, very hot summer day and met with Father Leo Basinger. And I walked out with 6 teacher editions for 6 different subjects and an annual contract of $17,000.
Oh, it's so much more than the money. Teaching at Salesian is so much more than the money.
So it was in East LA, and it was at a very, very dark time for East LA. The kids really had nothing. I mean, it was right in the middle of the housing projects. Gang violence, terrible, all over the place. And Salesian was an oasis in the middle of this storm, both physically and emotionally, for the students. And that's where I got ingrained in the Salesian philosophy of the oratory and the 4 pillars. But more importantly, seeing how transformative education could be. And I had some very good experience and even overseas experiences before that, but seeing firsthand how really transformative an education, in particular a Salesian education, could be for people experiencing both spiritual, physical poverty, academic deficiencies. And it was a beautiful, beautiful 5-year start to my rather long career.
I'm glad you just said, so that was going to be my next question. How long you were there? So you were at that first Salesian school for 5 years.
I was at the first Salesian school for 5 years, and
in the role of just a teacher.
I did everything back then. I coached, I taught, and then the Salesians, I guess, saw some administrative qualities in me, and right away became chair of the science department, followed by assistant principal. And then I got my master's in administration, and then I became principal, not at Salesian, but at at another school, a feeder school to Salesian, in another actually worse area of the projects at that time. So it was really, and I had it really made, I mean, philosophically, because, I was taught by the Irish Christian Brothers, and I had their whole philosophy, which is different, beautiful, but different than the Salesians. So I'm coming fresh out of that, 4 years Bergen Catholic, 4 years Iona College, very involved with the Irish Christian Brothers, and then I got the whole Salesian experience. So I'm just very thankful that I had such a great start, and that was my foundation, really, for my career that I continue on today, thankfully.
What's great is I've been here a long time. This is my 20th year at school. And so I've seen a lot of teachers come and go, and I stay in touch with a lot of them. A lot of them are my good friends from way back when I started. And, what's funny is a lot of them talk about Salesian High School being their first job. It was their first teaching experience. And some of them spent a considerable number of years here. Mostly all of them talk about how they use the same philosophies that you were taught as a Salesian educator. Because let's be real, the educators are taught how to educate in the style of Don Bosco. So a lot of them, it almost gets inside of you, and you can't shake it because it's so true. It's so universally usable that they're going to, you might have taken a job at a public school, or some people moved and they moved out of state, and they still say, I still do this. And that's something that I know that we learned as Salesian educators together. I hear that over and over again. So you left the Salesian school after 5 years, and it sounds like you moved up the
Then I became
administrative
principal,
ranks.
yes, and I was principal for many years, many years. Don't let my youthful appearance fool you.
Well,
I've been
you
around.
notice one question I did not ask is when did you walk into that first?
No,
Salesian school? I'm not going to. I'm going. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
So when I got into administration in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, they have a very vibrant church in Los Angeles because of the Filipino population and the Mexican population and very, very devout Catholics, and so the schools there are very, very vibrant and very large. We have a system of 200. There was a system of 220 schools when I left elementary schools, 52 high schools. Very full enrollment. But I took the foundation from the brothers and from Salesian to my leadership. And in fact, I had a Dominic Savio room in all the places that I went to, that I started. And then also the diocese asked me to do some modeling and leadership for other leaders. And I could still remember speaking in front of them and always having that philosophy that I learned, from the Salesian, which for me is relational. I call it relational education. The kids are not going to want to listen to you. They're not going to approach you if they don't feel that you know who they are as a person and by name. God has blessed me. I have a very, very good memory. I'm very good with names. And I'm also good, like if they say, oh, my sister's name is this, it'll just stick in my head, So you have to not necessarily spend the time with them, maybe playing ping pong, but they want somebody to listen to them, So I've been blessed over the years to really, even as a principal, to just spend the majority of the time with the kids, getting to know them. And when I could ask about them, then you got them. And then they're going to try to listen to you and to really to please you. Kids want to please adults, So I really got that style from, like I said, my years starting with Salesian and then just watching the priests and the brothers interact with the kids, coach the kids, talk to the kids, pray with the kids, pray for the kids, pray for the kids' family. There were so many tragedies in those years in East LA. It was like, and it was almost routine. It was awful, but that was a great start for me. It's just ironic that I went to this other career and then here I am back here. So.
Well, it's funny because we've never had this conversation before, and it's funny because you're saying things that I was taught here on the whole other side of the United States. When I started working here, how they say, get to know the kids. And that was me in the classroom. And then I got bumped over to I got bumped downstairs into the admissions office, and I still tried to do that with the 7th and 8th grade kids. And so I figured that the best way to try to convince a kid to come here, get to know him. And so if I saw him somewhere, and let's see, I grew up right in the neighborhood where a lot of our students come from.
Run into them, yeah.
Oh, I'd see him walking down the street.
Yeah.
Or I'm umpiring a baseball game or refereeing a basketball game. There's the kid playing. And he's like, Mr. Official, I just did a shadow day at Salesian. I'm like, oh, all right, don't say anything. But I always tried to remember the kid's name. I always tried to remember the school he came from. And this way they kind of like built up that relationship. And they never had a problem. It's amazing downstairs, even in the administrative offices. Kids have no problem coming in. And I think, like you said, use that word relational, which is a huge word around here. So you ended up back on the East Coast.
Yes, sir.
When and how?
Well,
and why? The weather's beautiful out there.
Yeah, it has weather, but there's a lot of other things that are difficult, that have become very difficult over the years, that you may have heard about. But COVID was really the thing, COVID in California was a terrible, terrible experience. It was the worst experience of my life as a principal. We closed the school they told us, for 2 weeks on March 16th, and the next student to set foot in the front door was March 17th the following year. Wow. And it was awful, and we had most of my family's here. We couldn't jump on a plane, and we just took it as a sign that it was time for us to come back, because we used to come back, my wife and I, many times throughout the year. And through God's providence, when we were having this conversation, something came up for my wife to take, and then we decided to come back here. And so, being a principal all those years, when we got back here, my wife made a suggestion, and as you know, when a wife makes a suggestion, she's telling you what she wants you to do.
Nothing being suggested.
There's no suggestion. So she suggested that I go back to my original love, which she said you've talked about our whole marriage is, your start at an all-boy Salesian. She didn't say Salesian, but she said an all-boy Catholic school. Mm-hmm. And we were having coffee one day, and she said, hey, there's a Salesian school in New Rochelle. I said, I know, it's there. She said, and they're looking for somebody. So I went down, and even though I was interviewing with the former president of Don Bosco Prep, he hired somebody from Bergen Catholic, believe it or not.
Listen, Father Jim has a heart. He knows it. He knows what's good for Salesian High School.
Yeah, right. So that's where we are. And she was right. Administration, as you know, is a totally different ballgame. And I've been so blessed. Like, I never forget my first couple of days here when I'm just being out of being a principal, and the bell rang, and I was like, well, wait, I want to go to baseball practice. I stood at the top of the field, and a couple of kids waved to me, and I didn't have to run back to the office, and it was just very, very liberating. I'm not saying I'm not telling people don't go into administration. It was a great job, but it's hard, and it's time. Sometimes you need a break from it,
sure.
And it really allows me to spend time and to listen. Like I said, to the boys. My advice to anybody, younger teachers or whatever, is people are always talking at them. They want somebody to listen. If they want your opinion, they'll ask you, but they want you just to listen to their stories.
Sure. And you know what? In my new role as the Director of Alumni Relations and Events, my office is in very, very close proximity to your classroom. So I get like, I'm going to call it firsthand. I get firsthand Mr. Marasco. I don't want to call it secondhand because that's going to make it sound like I'm snooping around. I can hear everything you're saying, and I can hear what the kids are saying in the classroom. And like, your impact on them is incredible. And I'm going to segue right now because we all know that the school's big emphasis is on preparing the boys, on preparing the boys for life, on whatever that might be, if that's college, if that's the military, if that's a job. If that's to raise a family. We're preparing them for life. I think you're on the front lines of that. Me, from the perch in the administration, that's going to sound so terrible. Whatever.
That's all right. You're on a perch. No? I know. You're on a perch.
But I'm looking down, and I see the people that this is like front and center, and that's you, because number one thing is you help us out big time and do a great job with our summer program. The summer program is the 9th grade students who are registered and ready to come to Salesian High School. over the summer. You run the program for them, kind of like a way back when we called it a boot camp, and that sounded like a little extreme.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
No,
I
no.
asked them to change it to freshman Eagle Camp.
I love the
because
Eagle
I didn't
Camp.
want somebody thinking that I was going to run out with the whistle.
Well,
or
that's what
something.
that parents were asking. Like, should he wear sneakers? I was like, I don't think it's like a real boot camp. I think it's like I think that's just a play on words. But you do help us. You do a great job with the Eagle Summer Camp and getting these ninth graders at this point prepared for their freshman year. And then you get the opportunity to teach them as freshmen, continuing to prepare them, getting to know them a little bit over the summer and continuing to prepare them through their freshman year, which is an important, very, very important year in their high school career. So tell me a little bit about the summer program. I want to hear a little bit about it and what you do to prepare these
It's
boys.
just my favorite week. It really is. They come in, they're excited. There's nobody really in the building. Camp Echo Bay is going on.
Yep.
And I could just take my time and I can go, show them the ins and outs, some business type things, just hear some of their concerns. They get to know each other. And then, of course, they love going up to Casson Commons to eat. We all eat together like a big, I have one table. This year was totally sold out. There were 24 kids. And we went up there just like a family, said grace together, ate. And it was just really good. Now, of course, the school does that during orientation, but this is just a little extra. Yeah. Sometimes you have kids that are super nervous. They went to a public school. They never went to a Catholic school, a private school. So, and it's not long and drawn out. It's just great, And then, you talk about prepare, right? Well, one of the things that we have to prepare the boys for is eternal life, life and eternal life. And that is the greatest honor that I have, really, is working with the boys on their spirituality and their spiritual journey. And some of them, their spiritual journey is just starting, and you could almost feel it. It's almost palpable when the Spirit starts to work in them. I've actually seen it physically on kids' faces when they start to listen and start asking certain questions. And this year, we have the Faith Formation Program, and we put out there that people wanted, that we would train the people or prepare the people for their sacraments through the Theology Department. And we got an unbelievable response. We got 37 students in the school that want to deepen their faith through the sacraments. So
37 students who might have been baptized but haven't received communion, or might not even have been baptized.
Correct.
Or just missing, because I guess when you come to school, if you received all your sacraments up to the age of a ninth grader, you've been baptized, you got communion and confirmation.
Correct. So we have some people, and this is not a judgment on anybody, but I mean, a lot of times people go to like a CCD program and they make their first communion, and then the party's over and whatever, they haven't made their second communion, I'm not making a judgment on anybody, because God works in people in different times of their life.
Of course.
So we have 15 students that are going to be going through what's called the sacraments of initiation, because they're being baptized as adults in April 18th. So they will receive baptism, confirmation, and communion, all three in the Salesian Chapel. And the response was overwhelming. And the wonderful thing is, I call it like reverse evangelization. Like, I have parents telling me, like, the kids are evangelizing their families. Like the parents, like, my husband and I never thought of it. We didn't follow up on it, but he really wants to do it, and we're behind him, So we may have years where we have, not as many, but it's not really about the numbers. But that's been just an amazing gift this year to see that amount of people taking the step and going to their parents. Most of them was from the kid, and then when I would email the parents, they'd be like, "He wanted to do what?" And so it's been great. It's been really a great experience.
That's great, and that's a great thing for the parents to do too. If that's something their son wants to do, encourage him and let him do it. And I love how you started with the Eagle Summer Camp too, where you said, "Hey, listen, some of these eighth graders, some of the eighth grade parents." Some of them are afraid to admit it. Some are absolutely not afraid to admit it. The kids are nervous to come here. That summer program seems like an awesome opportunity to get to know a few people, get to know some of the administrators, obviously one of their teachers, and just really kickstart their freshman year. And I'm not kickstart them. That's not bad.
Yeah, but you can go with that.
Can I? I mean, that just came off the top of my head.
Well, but I mean, if you're having a child that's anxious about going someplace, you don't want to say you're going to boot camp.
No, I
so-
know. That's what I said. I said the first time I received the call, and the parents were asking if he needed to wear sweats. I said, no, we're not running across the parking lot carrying logs. He's going to learn Salesian. He's going to get comfortable here. I think you do a great job with the program. And back to faith formation. They're doing that with you?
Yes, they're doing it through the Theology Department. So I'm the point person, and then of course we have an amazing Theology Department. We have a priest and a deacon and me.
Sure.
So I guess we just need a nun, and then we'll be fine. But, so we have so all Father Sazika and Deacon Martin are aware of who's doing what sacraments.
Good.
And they'll be working with them, but they meet with me, and they have a sacrament journal, and we want to involve the whole school. So Father Jim has been talking about it. All the students that are going to be baptized on November 10th are going to be receiving what's called the rite of acceptance in front of their peers and be given a beautiful Bible. And so their peers can see like, oh, these people are making, and then we have 3 seniors too.
Yeah.
These people are starting, they're deepening their journey, their sacramental journey. So that will then have, ripple effects, I'm sure, down the line. It'll jog people and say, oh, maybe I'll think about it for next year.
That's such a testament to you, though. You and Father Sisika too. Don't get me wrong, but he is a first-year teacher. But you and Deacon Martin have now logged a few years here. Mm-hmm. So I think you guys are 2 tremendous men. Really great models for the kids. You do a great job in your classrooms. You could see it. You just come walk down the second floor corridor and watch what you guys do each day. And it's amazing how you encourage the boys to go to daily mass in the morning before homeroom. And I think it's incredible because there's no secret about it. There's no secret about it at all because the parents fill out a survey after they leave our open house. They're looking for a school where faith is front and center. That's why you're going to. That's one of the main reasons why you're going to a Catholic school. And so for the boys where that wasn't as possible when they were younger, to make it possible here through faith formation, that's awesome. And I actually, as a matter of fact, I think I know somebody whose son is very interested in coming here. That was one of his questions too. And it felt great for me to answer, be like, no, we do that here. And he was like, oh, really? Just like through like a parish? I was like, no, you do it with us.
Right.
So cool to offer that here.
And I want to just say about the morning mass, because it's really a tool for the kids to get involved in their faith and to experiment and to see what's going on. And so the way we do that is we ask for volunteers to do the lecturing and the altar serving. Mm-hmm. Some of them come kicking and screaming they don't want to do it. Yeah. Every single one that does it wants to do it again.
That sounds great.
Every single one. And like I said, I'm up there on the altar with them, guiding them. And maybe it's the proximity to the altar. I don't know. But I have felt things happening, people that have altar served for the first time. And it's just a very powerful experience for them, And we make that. So sometimes the church, they have too many rules and regulations. Oh, you can't do this. You have to go to this class and do this first and blah, blah, blah. But here, Father Jim sets the tone and the Salesians set the tone, like Don Bosco did in the original oratory, of let's just go with it, And so we don't have a big bureaucracy in order to lecture or to altar serve, And so they get to experience that, and then that generally motivates him, And then the whole faith-based thing, I think I am so optimistic about this next generation. I don't know if they have a name, but they're very spiritual, Yep. And they like to talk about their faith, and it's almost like it's cool to love Jesus, if you will, It's not like, we went from a secular society, which was God is not in society. Okay, that's fine, I guess. But then we went to a society that was anti-God and vocally anti-Christian, right? And the boys kind of felt all that, I think, over the years, and it affected them, And now I kind of see the tide turning, and then they're telling me the other day they showed me like this TikTok thing about there's a lot of religious things on TikTok too, and in social media. They have a Bible app that pops up that gives them a notification, every morning, the Bible verse of the day. So we're in a very, very interesting and very important time in young people's faith journey.
We absolutely are. There's no secret about it. A lot of the parents here want that. Clearly, they're getting that. The school's emphasis, once again, is prepare the students for life. And I can't think of another person or another situation that the kids can be in that is preparing them any better than being able to be in front of Mr. Marasco.
Thank you. That's quite a compliment.
So, I don't want to take up all your time. We're almost done here. Anything else you'd like to say before we leave this episode?
Just that putting the time, you have to put the time in, and everybody here, all the teachers put the time in,
Sure.
Because you just can't, like I said, they get talked to a lot, but they really, really put the time in. And then it has so many dividends down the line. Just in the 2 hours before I was waiting to come up here, I had somebody approach me about a bad situation, a health situation in his family, and somebody approached me about a birth in their family. You see? Mm-hmm. And so they know when they come here. Now, we're not their family. Their family's their family,
Sure.
But they want us to be part of the good times and the bad times. And I think that the teachers know what an honor that is. You have boys, you have teenagers. I mean, they'll be teenagers soon. You know how teenagers are, right? Interacting with adults.
Yep.
So for them to be able to share those moments is a great testimony to the whole Salesian philosophy and the whole Salesian mission, really.
It sure is. I love it when the students feel comfortable enough to confide in you certain things. It's a great feeling. It makes you feel like what you're doing is working. It's getting through, and I think that's all we can do. That's absolutely all I think we can do. But Mr. Marasco, I got to tell you, man, not just because I'm your new neighbor down on the second floor.
Well, apparently I bother you because I talk so loud, but I can't help it.
No bother whatsoever. I think I got the office tucked away all the way in the back now. It's a pleasure listening to you in the morning, but it has been an absolute pleasure having you on
Appreciate
today.
it so much.
Thank you for everything you do for the school, for our students. And I hope to God, I know you've bounced around a couple schools on the coast there. I hope to God Salesian is the last stop for Mr. Marasco.
Let's see. I hope so.
Let's go. You heard it here. He said he hopes so. Without further ado.
From your lips to God's ears, as they say, right?
You better believe it. And for everybody watching, I want to thank you. This has been another amazing episode of Eagles on the Air.